What's going on, guys, and welcome to today's video. And finally, as you guys can see behind me on the trailer, after like over 8 months, I finally found a WJ, and she's a little tired, she's a little rough. It doesn't run, it doesn't have a battery, and it's got more miles than I like to buy. But in 8 months of looking, man, it is getting extremely hard to find cheap, broken but not that broken vehicles left out there in the world. So let's do a quick tour of this thing, and I think I'll probably do the whole one video build series thing like I had the last couple, maybe, if it's not that broken, but time will tell. So let's do a quick walk around. We'll talk about what the current problems are, and then hopefully get into fixing it, get into lifting it, wheels and tires, the whole thing. So guys, obviously, as you can see, we've got a 04 Laredo here. Now, we do have some little cosmetic issues here. I don't even really know what happened. Did the hood get folded? Why? Why is that like that? Again, this one has been sitting for quite some time, hurt, damaged, dead to the world. We've got some very hazed over headlights, but I mean, for the most part, we do have a little bit of clear coat issue here, but again, don't look at that. For the most part, the body's kind of all there. Don't look at this little WJ issue starting to pop up, but it's kind of all there. 4-wheel drive, 4-liter, just very dirty. My goodness gracious, it'll take quite an army to clean this thing. But you can see we've got the steering column all pulled apart with our starting issue over there. And again, we can see all of our interior steering column parts pulled apart and thrown in the back. Again, a little weird something here on the bumper, but I guess some of that white kind of rubs off. Something happened there in its past life. But yeah, it's kind of all there. Nothing horribly bad that we can't take care of. We've got some belt moldings doing belt molding things. I think one of our mirrors is tired. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a mirror thing. But let's jump up into our reliable old 4-liter engine bay with leaves no additional charge. So what we've got here is a vehicle that will not start. Now, yes, it won't start because of the battery, but I was also told it's got a key issue. Now, the key issue, there are a chip in the key which goes to a computer module which reads the key, which allows the vehicle to start, but these vehicles will always still crank even when the key is bad, if you will. So it'll start, run for 3 seconds and die. I threw a jump box on this thing, put the key in it, got the mileage, which is an unfortunate number of 216,000. Again, breaking one of my rules of buying something over 200,000 miles, but I can't find anything else. So that's where we are. Put the key in the on position, and again, I can't even get the thing to crank, but we've got a very questionable starter button wired up to attempt to bypass the no start issue. Again, we've got this red wire going to our battery positive all the way around, down to our starter terminal down there, all the way over and across into the interior for a start switch. We do still have the factory wiring down here just zip tied up in the harness, so that will hopefully be able to go back into place once we actually fix the issue. Now, I did bring my scan tool with me, and I was able to scan the vehicle with battery power and notice that we did not have any communication with the PCM. Now, that would normally be kind of a bad deal. We'd kind of indicate a computer issue. We've got, a dead computer. We've got a power and a ground issue. We've got something not great with the computer, which led me to kind of quickly glance at the fuse. Now, here in our fuse box, fuse right here is PCM battery, and again, I have no clue how well you guys will be able to see, but we've got a blown fuse right there. Now, why did the fuse blow? That's another question. We won't know anything until we get a battery in this thing, get a fuse in this thing. You know, is it some of the mess of wiring? This thing has aftermarket trailer tow wiring that is looks very questionable. Let me show you one place here in particular. So right underneath, someone decided to route our trailer tow power wire on the cross member, which is rubbed through on the exhaust. So we've already got some questionable weird stuff that needs to be eliminated and removed. Did we have that wiring rub through, cause a power backfeed into something, blow a fuse? Now, luckily the fuse is blown and it's hopefully not a PCM internal issue, because if it's a PCM, we could be talking about some expensive costs here. So with the mileage, with the condition of this is not going to be one of my most pristine WJ revivals here, but I think, I guess I never showed the lack of rust underneath. That was kind of one of the things that made me go ahead and pull the trigger on it, even though the mileage was high. Now, underneath these rockers, they are really, really clean. I am kind of surprised here with the lack of any rust. This thing is really, really clean. So again, we've got a lot to work, a lot to take care of here, but I think it's probably worth getting this thing back on the road. Again, like I said, this will never be a beautiful, perfect one. I'll have had a lot nicer WJs, but I think it's probably worth getting cleaned up and getting moving again. So again, I think I'm going to do this video the long way, where I fix it in the same video, do the lift, do the tires, do all that stuff, probably, maybe. So I'm going to cut here and hopefully pick back up when we've got a battery and got a fuse in this thing, and kind of figure out what we've got going with our key issue. All right, guys, so I've done a little bit of work, a little bit of diagnostic. Let me at least walk you through my diagnostic process on how I ended up where I'm at and why it's still broken, but it might start. And I truly have not hit the key yet. I wanted to bring you guys out and talk you through what is the mess here. There's multiple failures, but I think I kind of know what both of them are. So don't mind the fire hazard here. This is a absolutely incorrect battery for a WJ, but I did not want to buy a battery until I kind of verified this thing works. So again, wrong battery. I got the positive hooked up, and then a jumper cable because I can't quite reach to there. So jumper cable from cable in to battery. And then we've got the old top dong here, giving us a little extra boost. So that's where we're getting power. But like I said, this thing has two issues. It would, you know, nothing would power up. We talked about the fuse for the PCM, and I kind of theorized that the wiring on the exhaust pipe that was melted through might have hopefully popped the fuse, our 10 amp power feed for our PCM. So I threw a 10 amp fuse in that thing. I did cut the wiring out that was underneath the vehicle. Happily threw power to this thing, got in, turned the key. Now keep in mind they've got a starter button hooked up because I think we've got a broken ignition switch actuator. So that's causing our starter button to be used. But now with our PCM fuse in, I was excited to fire this thing up. So got in it, put the key in the ignition, turned it to the run position, hit my start button, and crank no started. For whatever reason, I can't get my scan tool to connect to this thing. I cannot get it to read the PCM information. That was that, but I knew the PCM was now communicating because we had a volt gauge. We had, you know, all of our gauges were now working, but one very important gauge was not working, and that is the TAC, or our RPM signal. So even without a scan tool, I knew we needed a crank sensor to be able to start the vehicle. And normally when you crank, you get at least some RPM registering on the TAC. We had absolutely nothing. which led me to look at our crank sensor, which is a very common issue on a 4-liter. We see them towed into the shop often, or somewhat often, with bad crankshaft sensors. They're an absolute terrible nightmare to get to. Normally it's up on a lift. We unbolt the transmission cross member, lower the transmission down or tip it down so you can actually get to it up on the bell housing. This thing's stuck on the trailer, so I wasn't able to do that. But looking from the top of the vehicle, yeah, there's my crank sensor. Yes, it's covered in oil from the leaky mess of a 4-liter, but yeah, you can see it is currently a Bluetooth wireless crankshaft position sensor, and this is not a new enough vehicle for Bluetooth wireless capability, so it wasn't going to start. So here is our nice connector with our pigtail, a big foot long of wiring, because this, like I said, crankshaft position sensor lives way down there on the bell housing. The wiring wraps around the motor and connects kind of over above our oil filter area. So went and grabbed a quality value craft sensor. Again, guys, we are budget putting this thing together just to see if it runs. Is the engine good? Is the transmission good? What is the deal? Now, we do have a power steering leak that's just dripping, causing some anti-rust treatment there on the trailer, which will need to be addressed. But I went ahead and fought getting the crank sensor in on the trailer on my back. Like I said, I have never done that in car or not on a lift. So that was quite a challenge, but we've got our new crank sensor that is now connected. So in theory, this thing should start. Yes, we're backed in the garage on the trailer. So pending it runs and goes into gear and we feel the thing, lurch forward, I think it will then be able to drive itself off the trailer. It will hopefully have earned itself a battery, and then we'll start down the long road of getting this thing kind of reconditioned and back on the road. So, like I said, I truly have not hit the key. I just got that crank sensor in. My arms were absolutely filthy from the grease ball of a 4-liter. So let's put some power on this thing, go in there, and God, I hope the thing starts and runs. The muffler looks a little bit questionable, so it might be loud. I don't know. I did already check engine oil. It has oil in it. It's dark. It needs changed, but we at least have oil in the motor. So we are going to, that mess is kind of goodish. We're going to walk around on the tightrope walk here on the trailer into the filthy, dirty Dub J. I need to maybe run a vacuum if this thing starts and runs. So we are going to grab our key, put it in. Like I said, now with our PCM fuse, we've got all of our gauges working. We've got, battery volts, fuel gauge, all of the kind of important things here. There's our quality 216K, again, a little more than I'd like. And here is our push button that the previous owners have wired up. Again, I think we've got a broken ignition switch actuator under there that, again, we will grab one pending this run. So we're in park. Please run. Hey, look at that. Do we have oil? Hey, we've got oil pressure. What a thought. Alternator seems to be charging. Man, this thing's quiet. I'm not gonna lie. There was very little clatter on startup. It just kind of started like a vehicle. Now let's go out and shut our jump box off so we don't have. I just want to kind of verify our alternator is doing alternator things, even though we're going through this whole absolute mess of wires. Wow, look at that. We've got a 4-liter here. It's probably going to be running fluid out on the ground. I mean, it's not really running any more than it was. Maybe it's out of power steering fluid, but that's for another day. But man, that's a pretty happy little 4-liter for sitting, I think, for almost a year. Look at this. We have no power to the radio. That's not great. No, oh, we only have blower speed on high, so we've got a blower motor resistor that is smoked. Good God, guys, look at the dirt in this thing. She's gonna need, this one might need carpets out and power washed. The steering wheel cover was hiding a lot of filth that will hopefully clean up. This is the base model vinyl wheel, which holds up real well. We do have brake pedal. Hey, we've got a brake pedal. Do we have a gear? Can't tell. I have it strapped on the trailer, so, oh yeah, it's trying to move itself. Oh, she's creeping. She's creeping on the trailer, boys. Look at that. Airbag light is on because I stole the 10mm fuse out of the airbags to power our PCM. So we are robbing Peter to pay Paul over there. Man, you don't know how excited I am having a running WJ. But that crank sensor laying on your back on a trailer, not ideal. Never done one like that. I hope to never have to do another one like that. Yeah. But we are charging 14 volts here, even though we are going through that hot mess of jumper cable. Why does my radio not power up? We'll have to dive into that. But it is an 04. We've got the solid sport back seats, which I always kind of like on a Laredo. They're always kind of cool. We've got our brushed aluminum trim, which again is a cool later year thing. But she's a low trim level girl. She's got no sunroof. Oh gosh, power seat. Does anything work? Oh, forward, back, up, down. Man, this thing's fancy. We've got all the working switches. Oh boy. So guys, the key works to shut it off, which is good. That only kind of verifies the ignition switch that I believe is bad. Or excuse me, ignition switch actuator. So that's a little Dorman kit that you can put into the steering column and fix the darn thing. So, I don't know how long, again, is this video gonna be a 30, 40 minute long fix lift thing? Probably, maybe, we'll see. But it runs now and it goes into gear. I probably need to drive it down the road, but I've got like 4 vehicles to move before I can get this out of the garage and on the road. Okay guys, so I've got the trailer finally outside now, and I think we're getting ready for the inaugural drive here of the roughest WJ I've ever owned. So we've got our crank sensor in, we've got battery power to it. It moved, or at least it went into gear on the trailer. Will it shift through all the gears? Will it have reverse? Will it do the things it needs to do to earn a lift, wheels and tires? We'll find out right now. I think we are ready to do this. Now guys, like I said, this thing still has the very broken ignition switch, so we will use their custom push button start. That honestly works pretty fine for the time being. Like I said, we've probably got the broken ignition actuator there. All right, yeah, I have no power window. Oh, I do have power windows. I take that back. I'm sorry, WJ. I spoke incorrectly. We've got a power window working now. Throw this thing in reverse. Went into reverse, and let's back off the trailer here. Ooh, she is low on power steering fluid, or excuse me, low on tranny fluid. She is whining. Let's disregard that. There's first gear. First gear, second gear. So far, I do not hear axles screaming. We're hoping there's third gear. Now, I know you guys can't see with the ridiculous sun glare, but we're moving down the road. Ooh, we've even got brakes, even though the rotors feel like the rustiest rotors I've ever felt in my life. We do have brakes. Brake pedal feels good. The front shocks do not feel good. This thing dives all over the place, but that is, grab reverse again. And again, we've got a little whine. I don't know, I am assuming we were probably just really low on transmission fluid. First gear, second gear. Going for third. Third gear. Fourth gear. And I think that's all she wrote on a 42 RLE. Now we would, if we were up to speed, have torque converter lockup, but that's all the gears. So that is promising. Again, do we have, let's just start testing things here. Do we have air conditioning? I'm gonna assume no. I never heard the compressor come on. So we don't have AC, but that's something we can hopefully take care of. Man, this thing's burning some oil off the engine that's been sitting leaking for half of its life. So we've got a moving Jeep. I think it's probably afforded itself a lift and wheels and tires. We'll be doing the normal, 2-inch spacer lift that I do on all of my WJs. It's cheap, makes them look good. You can fit some Wrangler takeoff wheels and tires and make them look a lot younger, a lot fresher. So that's what this one will do. And God, we've got a lot more work to do after that. All right, guys, so we are now a running WJ with a 2-inch lift and some 32s on Mojave Gladiator wheels. So is this the final product? No, this thing needs literally everything. We got to do all the cosmetic work to this thing. We need to buff some headlights. Man, that's unfortunate. We're gonna have to do some massive touch-up work. Maybe I'll scrap around. I don't know that this poor thing is worth replacing a hood for that. Again, we'll get some touch-up paint. We'll touch that up. There was somewhere else that needed a little touch-up paint love. I can't remember. Maybe it was just this hood. We've got some rock chips, and then whatever happened right there. So some headlight buffing, some plastic treating, and then just literally everything else that needs done to this thing. This thing has quite a few leaks: valve cover, oil pan, transmission pan. I need to do all the fluids: front axle, rear axle, transfer case, transmission fluid and filter, spark plugs, engine oil. Yeah, the list goes on. Now guys, I still need to fix the big thing in the interior, which is the ignition switch. Let me know if you guys want a video on that ignition switch tumbler thing. It was a pretty common thing on Jeep Wranglers, Jeep Liberties, Jeep Grand Cherokees, PT Cruisers, all of that like kind of mid to early 2000 stuff. We saw a lot of those ignition switch actuator pins that would break and cause pretty much exactly what this would do. You could turn the key on, but you couldn't ever start the vehicle. That's why this thing has the very questionable push button start hooked up. So I think I'm going to end the video here, otherwise it's just going to be infinitely long. I actually have no clue how long it currently is, but I just wanted to bring you guys along on a, I believe this is number 15. I went back and looked. This is number 15 for Grand Cherokee saved out of somebody's backyard. This thing was sitting in their back field area for over a year. And if I didn't mention what I paid $400 for this thing. Again, 216,000 miles, a little more than I would like, but clean Kansas title. It's kind of all there, and it's not that beat up, kind of, not really. We'll make her look all right, and it'll make somebody a good Jeep, and hopefully they take care of it and maintain it, and it should last quite a bit longer with the old 4-liter. So guys, hopefully we'll get this thing finished up, wrapped up, but I think, like I said, that's gonna do it for today. So thanks for coming out into the garage with me for the first time in 8 months and picking up a WJ. You know, gotta save all the WJs, whatever we want to say. And guys, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.